Hello, welcome to the Schlockcast, episode 2, the Schlockfather podcast. I think I'm going to call it the Schlockcast. I think that's rather fitting. Today, I'd like to talk to you about something that's near and dear to my heart that I've been consuming for 11 years straight, almost daily. And now I have had a revelation that I need to make change in my life. And I just want to tell anyone out there that may be struggling with the same thing. Marijuana addiction is real. And I know a lot of people don't want to acknowledge that, or they don't believe that it's a thing that affects people because they say there's no physical signs. You can't become addicted to it unless you have physical withdrawals or something like that. But the fact of the matter is for a lot of us, it gives us that feeling of normalcy after a while. Too much continued smoking of marijuana after a while no longer makes you high. It starts to feel normal. And I think the problem comes when you stop consuming it for fun and you start consuming it for stress regulation and like relief of things that bother you. Because when I first started smoking, I enjoyed it. It was something I did because it was fun. And then I remember it was a slow, subtle killer. But when it changed was when I started to think to myself, I'm stressed out. Maybe I'll just have a bowl or two, and I won't be stressed anymore. And then, slowly but surely, it becomes a thing that is a dependent crutch that whenever you're in a bad mood, the green bitch is right there. The green lady, Mary Jane, she'll set you free. And I promise you that it stunts your growth in the sense that I'm not going to inherently say it makes you less productive because I know the immediate reply from a lot of people is, I'm a productive stoner, I work out, I work hard, I get more creative thinking. And congratulations if that's the case for you. Different folks, different strokes. But I've found that a lot of people, whether they want to acknowledge it or not, it infects them with complacency and gives them the feeling of, this is as good as it's going to get in my life. I might as well be fine with mediocrity and I'm going to settle for, being lame. And I don't mean you need to be cool, but I mean, smoking weed stunts your own potential future. And even if you're a hardworking person, every minute you spend smoking weed, it could be spent doing something else. It could be spent creating something, working hard, filing money, organizing things. It doesn't just all have to be about money. And I'm not saying that there is no time to relax. Like, it's unrealistic to say, come home and grind and never stop grinding and never take a break, because it's just, you're going to suffer from burnout. But if you come home from work and the first thing you do is fire up a bowl before thinking about any kind of other way to forward your life, you are stunting your own development. And the other thing is, even if you regulate it and you have the budget for it and you can afford it, good for you. I'm glad that you can afford what you need and you regulate it enough. Even if you are rich, even if you can afford it, and $200 for an ounce is nothing to you, the fact of the matter is that money you spent, even if it's a minute amount, could be better used elsewhere. Could be invested. It could be invested towards a future. You could buy gold. You could buy old video games like Medieval here as a good investment piece. Not saying that it's going to go up or down, but there's a good chance that it will. It's a consumable item. It's not a good investment unless you're selling it to other people, but then I find that there's just better things you could invest and resell. But if you're consuming it, the fact of the matter is that there are better ways you could be allocating your funds and resources. And for anyone out there that wants to quit, and other people around you are telling you, oh, it's not hard to quit, etc., etc., know that you're not alone, and those people are just wrong. They only say that because they themselves don't realize what marijuana does to them negatively and how it impacts their life. And then you have other people, you have a lot of influencers that don't make it any easier for people. You'll have people like Wiz Khalifa being like, until you've quit smoking for 15 years straight, you can't talk to me about boosted productivity. No, the fact of the matter is that people like that have egos because we've bolstered them to have those egos over the year by promoting them through artificial means like music and media, etc. Well, I'll tell you this now, I've quit, and only in 3 days I've noticed an energy boost. I have noticed an increase in irritability, and it's understandable that your mood is going to worsen. Most likely, your mood will worsen within the first few days. That being said, know that, it's all in a day's work. It's not all in a day's work. You can't accomplish it in one day. You got to take it day by day. You got to fight through what you need to fight through. Roll with the punches. It's not easy for me, but I have a goal and focus in mind. And the fact of the matter is, if I didn't spend my life smoking for 11 years, I already could have accomplished so much more. I could have been to the military and got out. I could have pension and benefits and medical plans and all this other stuff. But yet, what did I decide to do? Smoke weed and say, oh, I'll start slowing down and I'll quit in a month or I'll quit in a week. But the fact of the matter is that change has to happen spontaneously. If you plan it out and you say, it'll happen when it happens, it's not going to happen until you make it happen. And until you actually put in the effort to oomph and push through, you're going to keep relapsing. You need to suffer a little bit in order to put yourself in a position in life where it is what you want it to be or what you need to get out of life. Hate Andrew Tate if you want. I understand a lot of the things he says isn't positive advice at times, but the fact of the matter is as a man, or as anyone in general, men and women, you have to struggle in life if you want to make it forward. If you want to have a life worth living in the future, you have to struggle now in the moment, or otherwise you will struggle forever. Every minute you spend being complacent, wasting smoking weed, is a minute you could be working towards a future where you wouldn't have to struggle, you wouldn't have to work. If you want to smoke weed now while you're working a minimum wage job, you don't seem to understand that if you make your life and you put yourself in a position where you're financially free, then you can smoke as much weed as you want. Weed is for people. They say weed is for, a lot of people say, I like to just smoke a little bit of weed when I get home. It chills me out after a hard day of work. But the fact of the matter is, weed isn't for working people, in my opinion. Weed is for people that are retired. Weed is for people that don't have to work anymore, that don't have a goal or a focus or stuff that they need to accomplish. That is my honest opinion. If you smoke weed and you're not retired, or if you smoke weed and you're still struggling in life, you have no right to be smoking it. That's how I feel. Take that for what you will. Opinions are opinions, but that's an objective fact to me. This is it for the Schlockfather podcast, the Schlockcast, episode 2. Just remember, you're not alone if you're struggling from marijuana addiction. If you truly want to quit, you can't wait. It has to be done now. This day, this moment. Make the change or forever be stuck in stagnation.